Let us discuss about the ES6 features const and let. In JavaScript, we used to declare variables using the var keyword. There are two new ways to declare variables now. We can use const and we can use let. We use const for constants, for data that is not going to change, and also we use it for function definitions. Here we have an example: const greet equals function which takes name as a parameter. So greet is a function and the function definition will not change, so we can use const for greet. And within this function we have a variable called message which will hold a string value, and we see that in this particular function we don't need to change the value of message, so we can use the const keyword to declare message also. We use let for non-constants, that means data that is going to change. In this example we have the variable I which is initialized with the value 10, and then we have a while loop where we are modifying the value of I. Since the value of I is being modified after initialization, so we have to use let to declare the variable I. There is a difference between let and the old var. The difference is that let is block scoped. Let us look at an example. Here we have a function f, and within it we have an if statement where we have this statement where I equals 10 within curly braces. So we have this line of code where I equals 10 defined in this block, but as you can see in the next line we are accessing the variable I outside the block. When we call function f, surprisingly this code works and the output is 10. This is because when a variable like I here gets declared using var, it becomes available to the entire function and not just the block in which it is defined. Let us see how it is different with let. If we declare the same variable I using let, then if we call the function f2, we get an error saying I is not defined. This statement here, let I equals 10, declares the variable I, and this I is block scoped because variables declared using let are block scoped. So if we try to access I outside the block, we get an error saying uncaught reference error. This difference between let and var is more of a theoretical point for us to know why let was introduced in ES6 when we already had var. From a practical standpoint, in modern JavaScript code, we do not use var that much anymore. We typically use let and const most of the times. My personal rule of thumb is when declaring a variable, I start with const and then I change to let if needed.